There's something endlessly fascinating about the female mind, the way emotions, instincts, and silent thoughts shape every interaction, every connection, every decision. Yet most men never truly understand it. They think they do. They analyze words, reactions, even silences, but still miss what's really happening beneath the surface. Because women rarely say exactly what they feel, they show it, through subtleties, through patterns, through energy. And that's where the mystery begins. In this video, we're uncovering 5 powerful psychological facts about women that most men completely overlook. The kind that can change how you understand love, attraction, and emotional connection forever. These aren't cliches or surface-level tips. They're the deeper truths about how women think, feel, and love. Truths that reveal why some men connect effortlessly while others are left confused. So stay with me, because once you understand these, you'll never look at a woman the same way again. Most men think understanding women is about learning patterns, what they like, what they dislike, what makes them smile. But true understanding goes much deeper than behavior. It lies in psychology, in how women process emotions, memories, and relationships. So let's go beneath the surface and explore 5 psychological truths that most men overlook, not because they're hidden, but because they require awareness to see. Fact 1. Women remember emotion, not just words. When a woman says she remembers everything, she's not exaggerating. Science shows that women have stronger connections between the emotional and memory centers of their brains, meaning they don't just remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel when you said it. A careless comment or dismissive tone might fade for you, but for her, it lingers as emotional memory. That's why apologies rarely mean much without emotional acknowledgement. When you truly understand this, you realize it's not about being perfect. It's about being emotionally aware. Because to a woman, emotional presence matters more than constant perfection. Fact 2. Independence doesn't mean she doesn't need you. One of the biggest misconceptions men have is that strong, independent women don't want support. In reality, independence doesn't erase emotional need, it redefines it. A woman who's built her life, her stability, and her peace doesn't need rescuing. She needs resonance. She's not looking for someone to fix her. She's looking for someone who feels safe enough for her to be soft again. That's the difference. Her independence is not a wall, it's a filter. She's not rejecting love. She's protecting it. The moment a man understands that strength and vulnerability coexist, he stops trying to compete with her independence and starts complementing it. Fact 3. Silence speaks volumes. When a woman goes quiet, most men panic, or worse, ignore it. But that silence often carries the loudest message. Women are wired to communicate emotionally first, verbally second. So when she stops talking, it's not because she doesn't care. It's because she's already said everything she could, and now she's protecting her peace. Silence is her last form of communication. It means she's observing, processing, deciding. The tragedy is that most men only listen when she finally stops speaking, when the relationship is already halfway gone. Understanding this means learning to hear what's not said, the tone, the distance, the pauses. Because her silence is never empty. It's full of everything she wished you'd notice sooner. Fact 4. Her emotions are not random. Many men dismiss women's emotions as unpredictable, when in truth, they are deeply patterned. Every reaction has a trigger, and every trigger has a story. That story may come from something long before you, past rejection, betrayal, or a moment she had to carry pain alone. When she seems too emotional, it's not overreaction. It's a release of everything she never got to express before. The women who feel deeply are often the ones who've had to stay strong for too long. Once you see emotions as messages rather than chaos, you begin to connect with her on a level that most men never reach. Empathy becomes your bridge. And once a woman feels truly understood, she'll trust you in ways she's never trusted anyone before. Fact 5. She wants to feel chosen, not needed. There's a difference between being loved and being chosen. A woman doesn't want to be with a man who needs her to fill his emptiness. She wants a man who chooses her even when he could stand alone. When she feels chosen, not out of desperation but out of genuine appreciation, she feels safe. Because love without choice feels like dependency, but love that comes from strength feels like freedom. This is what most men get wrong. They think consistency alone wins a woman's heart, but what she really wants is to feel seen in her uniqueness. To know that among all the noise, you still notice her mind, her energy, her essence. That's what makes her stay. Once you understand these psychological truths, everything changes. You stop trying to figure women out like puzzles and start connecting with them as human beings. You realize that behind every reaction is emotion, behind every silence is a message, and behind every strong exterior is a heart that still wants to be understood. Because the truth is, women aren't as complicated as people say. They're just layered. And only the patient ones, the emotionally intelligent ones, get to see all those layers. And when they do, they understand something powerful, that what makes a woman hard to understand is the same thing that makes her impossible to forget. There's a strange irony in how men often misunderstand the very depth that draws them to women in the first place. They admire her confidence, her compassion, her quiet strength, but they rarely understand what lies beneath it all. The way she pulls away when she feels unseen isn't coldness. It's self-respect. The way she argues isn't a lack of love. It's her attempt to be understood. Men see the reaction, but not the reason. They notice her silence, but not the storm that forced her into it. And this misunderstanding is where most connections begin to unravel. Because while men may love deeply, they often fail to recognize the silent psychology behind a woman's heart. A woman's emotions are not weakness. They are her way of communicating without words. When she falls quiet, she's not always fine. When she becomes distant, it's not because she stopped caring. It's because she's tired of explaining what she hoped you'd already understand. Deep down, she craves connection. Not control, not perfection. Just emotional safety. Yet so often men misread her signals. They mistake independence for indifference, tears for manipulation, and boundaries for rejection. They don't see that every strong, self-assured woman is often a survivor of emotional battles she had to fight alone. In the middle of a relationship, this misunderstanding creates an invisible gap, one that widens slowly, quietly, until it's too late. She starts giving less, not because she wants to, but because she feels unseen. And the man, lost in confusion, starts to think she's changing. But she's not changing. She's protecting herself. This is the point where most men lose something they can't explain. The energy, the spark, the light she used to bring into their lives. They can't see that the woman they fell in love with is still there. She's just withdrawn to save what's left of her heart. It's a tragedy of human nature. Men and women speaking the same language but hearing different meanings. When she says, "I'm okay," she means, "I'm tired." When she says, "It's fine," she means, "You hurt me." When she stops arguing, she's not at peace. She's giving up. And the saddest part is that most men realize these truths only when she's already gone. They remember her laughter, her advice, her ability to make chaos feel calm. And that's when the regret sets in. Because the psychology of a woman is not a mystery to solve. It's a language to learn. Once a man truly understands how she feels, what she fears, and what she needs to feel safe, he no longer has to chase love. It's already there, waiting to be understood. But until he learns that, he'll keep losing good women for reasons he never fully grasps, blaming her silence instead of seeing his own deafness to her heart. Here's the truth most men never truly understand until they've lost her. A woman's silence is not weakness. It's her final language. When a woman has given, explained, forgiven, and waited, and still isn't understood, she doesn't scream. She disconnects. That's the moment when her heart quietly steps back, even if her body is still standing there. Men often mistake the silence for peace, but it's not peace, it's closure. It's her way of saying, "I've felt everything I could possibly feel. Now I choose myself." And by the time a man realizes what that silence really meant, it's already too late. The real power of a woman isn't in how loud she loves, but in how gracefully she lets go. The moment she decides she deserves better, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. That's when everything changes. You see, a woman's emotions are never random. Her love has layers: patience, sacrifice, hope. And when she finally reaches the point of quiet acceptance, that's when she's stronger than ever before. Because strength isn't about pretending not to care. It's about caring deeply, and still choosing to protect your peace. And men rarely understand this. They think love is about who stays. But for women, love is about who values them while they're still there. When a man loses a deep woman, he doesn't lose just a partner. He loses a mirror that reflected his best self. She's the one who saw his potential before he did, who believed in his light when he was lost in his own shadows. And that's the kind of loss that doesn't fade easily. Days go by, then months, and something strange begins to happen. He starts hearing her voice in his mind. Not literally, but in the choices he makes, in the things he says, in the silence after the arguments. Because a deep woman doesn't just love you. She becomes part of how you think, how you feel, how you grow. That's her real power. And when that kind of woman walks away, she doesn't take revenge. She takes her energy, her emotional investment, her empathy, her belief in you. And that's when men finally feel what they never noticed before. The absence of being truly seen. You can't replace that with anyone new, no matter how many faces come and go. Because connection isn't about attraction, it's about resonance. When a woman connects with your soul, she leaves a fingerprint that time can't erase. And when she's gone, the world suddenly feels quieter, emptier, less vivid. So the final truth, the last secret, is this. You don't lose a deep woman all at once. You lose her in stages. You lose her when you ignore her intuition. You lose her when you laugh off her fears. You lose her when you make her feel alone in her own love. And by the time she finally leaves, you don't just lose her body. You lose her belief in you. And that's something that no apology, no promise, no new beginning can ever bring back. Because when a woman who knows her worth decides she's done, she doesn't walk away in anger. She walks away in peace. And that peace is what makes her unforgettable. In the end, what we learn from all this is that the psychology of women isn't meant to be solved like a puzzle. It's meant to be understood through awareness, empathy, and emotional maturity. A deep woman doesn't want perfection. She wants connection. She wants presence, consistency, and truth. And yet, in a world full of distractions, those qualities are often the first to disappear. Men spend so much time trying to impress women that they forget the one thing she values most: emotional safety. When she feels seen, she opens up. When she feels ignored, she starts to close off. And once that door begins to shut, even the loudest apology can't pry it open again. The real tragedy isn't that she leaves, it's that most men realize her worth when she's already gone. They replay moments in their mind, wishing they'd listened more, appreciated more, understood more. But by then, she's evolved. Her silence has turned into strength. Her pain has turned into wisdom. She's learned that her love isn't something to be proven. It's something to be valued. That's what makes her impossible to replace. Because a deep woman doesn't seek attention. She inspires transformation. And once she's gone, men often spend years searching for the same depth in others, never quite finding it. This is why the strongest connections aren't built on excitement or attraction alone. They're built on emotional awareness. If a man can look beyond her surface and see her essence, the parts of her that she hides from the world, then he'll understand something most men never do. That a woman's mind and heart are not mysteries to be solved, but worlds to be explored. And once you step into that world with honesty and respect, you'll never want to leave. So, if you're listening to this and thinking of someone you once had, someone who understood you in ways no one else could, maybe this is your sign to stop running from what hurt and start learning from it. Because understanding women isn't about reading books or watching advice videos. It's about paying attention. To her eyes, her tone, her silence. Every woman speaks through all three. In the quiet moments, remember this. When she walked away, it wasn't to punish you. It was to protect the part of her that gave too much. And that's not something to resent. It's something to respect. Because when a woman knows her worth, she doesn't need to prove it. She just lives it. And that's where her silent power lies. Not in leaving, but in finally choosing herself. And once she does, every man who ever underestimated her realizes the same truth too late. She wasn't asking for too much. She was just asking the wrong person. If this story resonated with you, if it made you think of someone you once knew, or reminded you of a lesson you learned the hard way, Take a second to breathe and reflect before you scroll away. These moments of quiet understanding are rare, and they remind us how deeply human connection truly runs. If you'd like more stories like this, ones that explore the hidden layers of love, loss, and emotional growth, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. I share reflections that speak to the parts of you that words rarely reach, the emotional truths that we all feel, but seldom say out loud. And if there's someone you're thinking about right now, someone you wish could hear this message, maybe share it with them. Sometimes the right words reach the right heart at exactly the right time.